test everything. You take one thing from this video, it should be this. Carry all of your gels. White rice. All right, I'm here at the Black Toe running event. ASICS is here. Good morning. It is Sunday, April 26th. 1 week from race day. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm out for my long run, last long run of the block. Just gonna do 18K easy today. Yesterday was the St. Lawrence Marathon. Congrats to anybody who ran that. I heard it was quite the headwind, and that is a point-to-point course, so well done for fighting through that. This morning is London Marathon. Congrats to all my friends who ran that. We saw a lot of stuff. Kablimo ran a 2-hour 28 marathon, 2 hours and 28 seconds, and he came in third. 2-hour mark broken by the top 2 runners. That's insane. Women's only world record also fell. What a crazy day. Good work, everybody in London. Okay, so 1 week out from my race, how am I feeling? Well, I would say good, not great.
Good, not great.
I feel like my rest and my taper has been super beneficial. I'm seeing a lot of my Garmin stats come back into line. HRV is nice and green. Resting heart rate has come back down. So all signs point to me being well recovered, which is great. I am feeling a little detached from marathon training. I feel like I haven't really done marathon level work in a while, which is a bit ridiculous because just a week ago I did a long run of 27K with 5K marathon pace, and that went really well. That was actually part of a shoe demo put on by ASICS and a running store called Black Toe Running here. So I got to go try out their Metaspeed Sky and Metaspeed Edge. Took a few clips of that, so I'll show those now. Alright, I'm here at the Black Toe running event. ASICS is here. I'm actually trying out the Metaspeed Skies. I bought the Edges, but I want to try out the Sky, so I'm going to go do that now. Okay, 1.5 kilometers in the Metaspeed Sky at race pace. I don't know, I feel a bit uncomfortable underfoot. I think the Edge are the shoes for me. Let's go see if I can get a pair of the Edges. After 24K in these, with 5K at marathon pace, they felt pretty good. They're a very good shoe. They're comfortable. I went down half a size, which was neat, but are they my race day shoe? I don't know. All right, so a little over 2 hours running in this shoe now. Still feels good. Still feel the carbon plate giving me a bit of return here, which is nice. Hasn't like gone mushy or anything. I might feel a little bit torn on whether to wear these or the Elite 2s on race day, but at least I'm choosing between 2 really good options. I don't think I can really go wrong, which is nice. I'll just go by vibes, I think. All right. Thank you, ASICS, for letting me try the shoes. Thank you, Black Toe Running, putting this together. Pretty much never get a chance to run in store shoes, so this is great. All right, that ASICS demo was fantastic. Basically never get a chance to try shoes these days before you buy them. So being able to try both the Sky and the Edge and see the difference between them, super cool. It was nice that, like, spent maybe 2 kilometers in the Sky. I got to run like 25K in the Edge, so that was awesome. And these were box fresh shoes. Like, pulled the paper out of them. Very generous of them. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between those 2 shoes. It's pretty confusing. They both have layers of softer foam and firmer foam, and the difference between the Sky and the Leap is just which one's on top. At least that's what I thought the difference was. turns out the carbon plate also has a slightly different curve. So for me, the feel of running in the Edge just makes me feel faster than in the Sky. So that's the shoe for me. Okay, so I do really like the Metaspeed Edge, the Tokyo edition. I did buy the shoe, but is it going to be my race day shoe? I needed to give my Saucony Endorphin Elite 2s another try. Because I haven't worn them in like a year since my last marathon. So that's what I did. I took them out for 10K with a few strides mixed in. And ooh, those shoes just put a smile on my face. I love running in those things. They feel very special. They are absurd shoes, so squishy, just wild, wild shoes. So I'm gonna wear those again. They do have about 130K on them, but they still feel like they have a lot of pop. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I think I would be fine with either shoe. I think they'd both be great choices. But the Elite 2s feel special, and I think that's worth something. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
Hello, Domino. Can I use some of your sunlight? All right, just want to give these bad boys some proper lighting. These are the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2s. I've worn them for 2 marathons and a couple of long runs, and man, they're so special. They're a very light shoe, but they're also like the squishiest things I've ever felt. It's amazing. Anyways, I feel really confident wearing these. The wear on them is actually still pretty good. There was one spot where I guess I had a rock stuck or something. It made a pretty good indent. But otherwise, like they've still got a lot of life left in them, I think. So these are going to be the race day shoe.
As I said, today is the last long run of the training block. 18K, I'm almost halfway through it now. And then we're the last week. The last week really doesn't have much. The only real important thing is the dress rehearsal, at least as far as training goes. Obviously, there's no fitness to be gained in that last week. You are tapering, you're trying to get to that start line as recovered as possible. I do think the dress rehearsal is clutch. I don't think there's anything else interesting that's going to happen on this run. So let's just assume that everything goes well. And I'll see you later this week for the dress rehearsal. Good morning. Wednesday, April 29th. It is almost race day. It's dress rehearsal day. So I'm out here looking ridiculous, but getting some good information. I think the dress rehearsal is a really key thing to do in any training block. We always talk about nothing new on race day, and that's not just resisting buying a bunch of stuff at the expo and wearing it. It's also avoiding surprises. Of course, you've tested all this already. You know your shoes, you know your shorts and your shirt. You've tested your fueling. But this is the integration test. It's where it all comes together and you find out stuff that you couldn't possibly anticipate. So you want to make this as close as possible to your race day kit. So that means, yes, wear your race shoes, wear your race outfit, do it the week of your race so that all this stuff is finalized. If it's going to be cold, throw on the arm sleeves. And yes, you need to put on any Band-Aids and Body Glide and Vaseline. You need to carry your sunglasses. You need to carry your earbuds if you're doing it. Get your camera ready if you're going to be filming. Test everything. A super critical thing to test, and if you take one thing from this video, it should be this. Carry all of your gels. On your long runs, you've maybe carried 4 gels with you, and you're thinking, oh, on marathon day I need 6. Figure out where those extra 2 gels are going to go, and actually carry them. This is what turned me into a believer of the dress rehearsal and why it's worth the effort. Because when I put all of my gels into my belt, yes, they fit, but it flops around a lot. It's really annoying. And in fact, on super long runs, the flopping can even cause chafing on my back. I wouldn't know that if I hadn't tried it. And when you discover something like this in advance, you can do something about it. You can plan to carry one of your gels in your hand. One thing that I picked up from this run is I have one caffeine gel, and it is smaller than the others. And instinctively, I put it in my belt so that it would be different from the other ones, which I keep on the side of my shorts. But it's smaller. It can fall out of the belt. So I'm going to make an adjustment. I'll put it in the side of my shorts. Awesome. So maybe you find a problem like this and you're able to come up with a solution in advance. That's great. Maybe you're not able to come up with a solution. Maybe you just have to deal with it. Even in this case, at least you discovered it before race day. It's not going to come as a surprise to you on the start line or at, kilometer 5. It's not going to send you spiraling. It's not going to take up your brain power. It's super satisfying when you run into a problem on race day that you've already anticipated and you know how to deal with it. You're not going to let it get to you. This is what controlling the controllables really means. And even if you find nothing to change at all, that still gives you extra confidence on race day. Because if something does come up that you didn't anticipate, it's a little easier to focus on it because you can tell yourself, all right, I need to deal with this problem, but I can rest assured that I dealt with so many other things in advance. So it's okay for me to be thinking about this. A couple other real world examples from this very dress rehearsal. One, I normally don't wear my hat backwards, but I'm going to so I can clip this camera on like this. But that's usually where I put my sunglasses. Turns out I can still keep them up there. I don't think they're flopping around. But I don't have to worry about it on race day now. It's not an open question. I know it's fine. Another integration issue. I barely ever wear these arm sleeves, but I might have to on Sunday. It's looking a little chilly. And this is going to be my first marathon wearing an armband for heart rate. I didn't realize that those would overlap. Turns out it's not really a problem, but now I know it's not a problem. It's not something I'm encountering for the first time 2 hours before my race. So in conclusion, I super recommend doing a dress rehearsal. You're honestly not doing that much in the days leading up to the race anyway. This helps you practice everything, maybe deal with a bit of the nerves that are going on. Felt bizarrely nervous getting ready for this dress rehearsal. You do feel very, very ridiculous going out for an easy run like this. But hey, feeling ridiculous is part of it. And try your best to make it as close to race day as possible. Don't make assumptions and say, I don't really need to put on band-aids. I'm only going for a 10K run. Actually do it. It's only by putting all these things together in practice that you discover it. And think about what race day is going to be like. Maybe you need to drive to the race and suddenly you have car keys with you. Have a plan for that. Oh, and the very last thing is, although I'm doing an easy run right now, in a minute I'm going to do some kilometers at marathon pace. And I think that's super important. You want to know if stuff starts flying off you or bounced around when you're doing race pace. So be sure to include some of that. Okay, here we go. Let's do some marathon pace. Tried taking my gloves off, because if I do need gloves, I'm going to need to know how to do that mid-race. Hopefully without needing to discard them completely. Got them tucked into my belt. We'll see how that works at speed. Going way too fast. Also trying reaching up and pushing the button on my camera. Hopefully I can get some race footage. Obviously it would be a lot less intrusive to not film anything, but gotta balance things out. I do want to try to capture the attempt. Got the camera set up so that when I push it, it should just record for 2 minutes and then turn off. So if I can do that every 5K or so, hopefully I'll get good chunks of the race. Alright, I think I've roughly found race pace now. Alright, you'll note I've put a sticker over my watch. That is to cover heart rate. In my marathon PB, my heart rate wasn't working. I was just using the optical heart rate. And it said my heart rate was like 135. the whole race, which is obviously nonsense. And while it would be nice to look at the heart rate data afterwards, I did find that was very freeing. I didn't look at my heart rate early on and decide, oh, this isn't sustainable, and hold myself back. So I'd like to try that again. But I do want to capture the heart rate data, so I will be wearing the Coros heart rate strap. I just won't be looking at it during the race. Why cover it with a sticker? Why not just take the data field off? Well, I like to use a screen called Race Screen, which can give you your predicted time to finish the race based on your current pace. Your GPS doesn't really matter. The course is what matters. So with Race Screen, when you pass a mile marker, you can lap your watch and it will intelligently round the distance covered up or down to the nearest mile or kilometer, whatever you want. So when you cross distance markers on the course, you can basically recalibrate your watch, get a more accurate predicted time. It's great, but you can't take heart rate off the main screen. So I'm just covering it up. All right, I know not to talk on race day. Ooh, that's tough. All right, that's a wrap for the dress rehearsal. Learned a couple minor things, but overall very good. Confirmed everything else. That's a big confidence booster. Hey, I don't have to be problem solving these things on race day. Great stuff. Marathon pace didn't feel as easy as you want it to, but it never does. The magic will come on race day. And actually, that's pretty much it. Carb Load starts tomorrow. Then I travel to Toronto, pick up the bib, all that fun stuff. So, we're getting there.
Yeah, I got a haircut. So I can go fast. Welcome to my kitchen. We are here in my kitchen because it is time to carb load. For carb loading, I use a calculator from Featherstone Nutrition, and I like to do a 3-day carb load. Now for me, I weigh about 175 pounds, which is like 79, 80 kilograms. And for a 3-day carb load, the recommendation is between 8 and 10 grams of carbs per day per kilogram. So for me, that works out to a little over 600 grams of carbs per day. Now, from what I understand, carbs have 4 calories per gram. And if I'm taking 650 grams of carbs, that's already like 2,500 calories, which for me is like probably close to enough. Marathon training, yes, I do need a bit more. Still, if I'm doing 2,500 calories of just carbs, that does not leave a lot of room for other stuff. So carb loading is not about cramming a ton of extra food in. It's about shifting the ratio of what you're eating from a nice balanced diet to pretty much only carbs if you can stick it. Because I gotta get in 650 grams of carbs per day, and I don't wanna be eating like 4,000 calories to make that happen. Ideally, I would stick to 3,000 or even fewer. So how do we do that? One of the best tricks is to drink your carbs. You get something like full sugar Gatorade, that's gonna have 140 calories for 36 grams of carbs. That's like pretty much as good as you can get. Let's do the calculations here. That is under 4 calories per gram of carbs. So that may not actually be that accurate. One thing you should know is that food labels, at least in Canada, they're allowed variants of like up to 20% in either direction. So it's not going to be an exact science, but still, I want to go with something that has a really good ratio of calories to grams of carbs. So really, I don't want to see much in the way of fats or proteins. Trying to concentrate on carbs. So drinking your carbs, great way to do it. Another staple for me is bagels. These bagels are pretty good. 200 calories gets you 39 grams of carbs. So that's a little over 5 calories per gram of carb, not bad. Another fun one, zoodles. That's a little under 6 calories. The important thing here is I don't want to just eat junk. I do still want to eat real food. So we're thinking things like pretzels rather than chips. Pretzels are incredible for carb loading. A serving here is 190 calories, gets you 41 grams of carbs. That's like 4.6 calories per gram of carb. Now the thing you do have to watch out for is it's also a heck of a lot of salt. Another favorite of mine, arrowroot cookies. I actually like animal crackers better, but this is what we have and they're kind of the same thing. This bad boy gives you 25 grams of carbs in 150 calories, which is a nice even 6 calories per gram of carb. What else we got here? Applesauce is great. This is unsweetened applesauce. 50 calories gets you apparently 14 grams of carbs. There's got to be some rounding going on there because that's like 3.5 calories per gram of carb. Something's not adding up there. In terms of junk food, I want something that's like basically all sugar. So I like my Twizzlers, 150 calories, 35 grams of carbs, 4.2, awesome stuff. Other things you're gonna want to do are, your basic pastas or white rice. 160 calories, 36 grams of carbs, that's 4.4, repeating, of course, calories per gram of carbs. So I'll eat stuff like this starting on Thursday this week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday are my carb load days. Try to fit in 630 plus grams of carbs in a day without eating, 4,000 calories. That's the plan. Should you carb load? I have done this before. I have done this with almost these exact foods before, and it has worked really well for me. And I like the 3-day carb load. Some people go by 2, some just 1-day carb load. Should you do it? Yeah, you probably should. The studies show that this works. However, you should also have practiced this. You don't want to jump into this 3 days ahead of your marathon that you've been training for months without having tried something like this. I know it's getting a little bit late, but really you should be practicing this sort of stuff before your long runs. Maybe you don't need to do a full 3-day carb load every weekend. That could get a bit ridiculous, but it would be worth trying at least once ahead of race day. One thing people tend to complain about is that you can feel pretty bloated. You are going to put on like a little bit of weight, a little bit of water retention with this, but if it works and if you can tolerate it, it is so helpful for helping you feel energized all throughout the race. Well, not all throughout the race. You still need to take fuel during the race, but you know what I mean. Carb load, good.
If you've watched this far, you're at least a little bit invested. So subscribe and follow along. I will see you in Toronto. Bye.